Hello noble ones, welcome back to my channel. This is the Metatron speaking, and as you know, sometimes I enjoy watching history hit, sometimes I don't. It kind of depends on who the expert is, but today I found something that has to do with ancient Rome that is unusual. We have an article written by History Hit on their website called 100 Facts about Ancient Rome and the Romans. Holy moly, 100 facts, that's a lot. So this was written in 2021, I am only now seeing it. So let's just have a look at it and see. I'm not, of course, going to review every single fact because that would take forever. But let's handpick a few and see what we think. Let's go. Rome wasn't built in a day, I agree. As the cliché reminds us, neither did the greatest power of the ancient world fall in one swift cataclysm as some past historians believed. The history of Rome is long and complex. A village grew into the eternal city that's still a wonder today. A monarchy became a republic and then an empire. Italy was conquered before Europe. Parts of Africa and the Near East and Middle East were incorporated into an empire that had around a quarter of the world's population under its governance. This 1,000 year and more history is complex and fascinating. Here are just 100 facts that help illuminate it. I really like the beginning. The hook is good. Nothing wrong with it. So, splendid. Let's jump around. The Romulus and Remus story is a myth. Yeah, most likely. The name Romulus was probably invented to fit the name of the city he was said to have founded on the Palatine Hill before killing his twin. Yeah, it's very likely. Although then again, when it comes to like mythology particularly, I always love to have the approach of keeping an open mind to the idea that maybe something is rooted into at least some facts that then were embellished. So that's always something that I enjoy keeping in mind whenever we look at gods sending a punishment and destroying and breaking the earth apart. That could be, kind of an ancient or sort of Bronze Age interpretation of a cataclysmic event and that sort of stuff. So just to bring up one. The new city's first conflict was with the Sabine people. Packed with immigrating young men, the Romans needed female inhabitants and kidnapped Sabine women, sparking a war that ended with a truce and the two sides joining forces. That's correct, and also the truth is very interesting to read about. I'll see if I can pull something up. Tradition has it that Rome had 7 kings before it became a republic. Yeah, the last, Tarquin the Proud, was deposed in 509 BC, points for using BC and not BCE, in a revolt led by Lucius Junius Brutus, the founder of the Roman Republic. Elected consuls would now rule. Well, yes, of course, these are going to be extremely superficial because it's like that's how you do 100 facts, I suppose. You just keep them 2 lines long, except for a few. So it's fine. I mean, it's very, very superficial, but it's okay. Number 10, Rome was already a deeply hierarchical society. Plebeians, small land owners and tradesmen, had few rights, while the aristocratic patricians ruled the city under the conflict of the orders between 494 BC and 287 BCE? Do what? What happened there? Conflict of interest? Internal debate? Man, what happened? BCE or BC? You gotta pick. I mean, not necessarily, I guess. You could do whatever you want, I suppose, but this... I just gave you points for crying out loud, History Hit. I'll pretend there is no E there, it's a typo. 494 BC and 287 BC saw the plebs win concessions by using withdrawal of labor and sometimes evacuation of the city. Yeah, I mean, a deeply hierarchical society is to be expected. There was maybe one point that I disagreed once with a popular channel recently with this idea of, and then society in the late Bronze Age and the Iron Age, they were talking about the Celts, became non-equalitarian, and so you had leaders. Yeah, it's like that. It's been like that since the freaking Stone Age. Even when you have, I would say that unless there is reason to believe that a specific ancient society, including prehistorical, was more equalitarian, if you will, or even setting aside for a moment ancient democracy and republics, but still, even then, tribalistic societies, prehistorical, Mesolithic period and the Pleistocene, whatever you choose, when you have a tribe, you got tribe leaders, you got tribe elders, and then wealth accumulates into one rung of society, and then there will be people that are enslaved, you got people that are just poor, and then there is a division. Now, of course, how much of a division? Yeah, that's something we can discuss. But yeah, hierarchical societies are just a thing for the majority of human history. It's not a surprise that it was already. Just being a little pedantic here, but that's me. Carthage was a Phoenician city, absolutely. The Phoenicians, originally from Lebanon, were known as successful sea traders and naval warriors. They also spread the first alphabet. Their trade routes also along the North African and European coasts of the Mediterranean made them a rival of Rome. Yeah, the The Carthaginians were rival of Rome. Phoenicians, no. But what's interesting is that, yeah, they are Levantine people, absolutely Levantine people. Carthage is about 10 kilometers from Tunis, capital of Tunisia. That's correct. It's in Tunisia, in fact, Carthage, modern day, including the ruins, of course, that you can still visit. The well-preserved remains that are now a UNESCO World Heritage Site include the Roman city that was established on the ruins of the original. Yeah. Keeping in mind that Carthage was never completely annihilated, and then with the idea of the salt putting on, salting the earth, that's all nonsense. That never happened. Salting of the earth is nonsense. The city was taken and destroyed, but when we say destroyed, there is a difference in the level of destruction that you can get when it comes to an enemy city while it's being occupied in classical antiquity or in the medieval period, and the level of destruction that we're capable of now if you consider weapons of mass destruction, for example. So when we use the city was destroyed, yeah, but in the context of classical antiquity, which is different. Hannibal's crossing of the Alps took place in the Second Punic War in 218 BC. Yeah, according to contemporary accounts, it took 38,000 infantry, 8,000 cavalry, and 38 elephants into the mountains and descended into Italy with about 20,000 infantry, 4,000 cavalry, and a handful of elephants. Yeah, he did lose a lot in the crossing. I mean, crossing the Alps was insane. That's why the Romans were like, no, he's not going to do that. And then he did it. 17. At the Battle of Cannae in 216 BC, Hannibal inflicted on Rome the worst defeat in its military history. Correct. Between 50,000 and 70,000 Roman soldiers were killed or captured by a much smaller force. It is considered one of the greatest military triumphs and disasters in history, the perfect battle of annihilation. Yeah, I mean, I looked into those numbers, and even though we don't know if some of the numbers were increased, because imagine if you increase the numbers, you could use that to your advantage if you're trying to reform a military. You can also increase them in order to later on show how incredible Rome was, that after such a terrible defeat and all of these losses, they still managed to come back from it and defeat Carthage. With that being said, though, I have looked into the evidence and there is no reason to believe that these were not true. So it's possible that they were increased up to a certain extent. I always keep that possibility open. But yeah, they did lose a lot of soldiers, like tens of thousands were absolutely killed in that battle. I truly believe that. Carthage had become an obsession to some Romans, most famously Cato the Elder. Very true. One of the things that did happen is that people will continue to speak about it. There will be actual sayings and expressions that will derive from the fear that the Romans, the general population, had towards Carthage and what had happened. And also because keep in mind that we often imagine, so they have a bunch of battles after it crosses the Alps, it defeats a few legions, then the Battle of Cannae, and then, that's terrible disaster, then Rome reforms, then you have Scipio Africanus, then he goes to Spain, and then finally he goes to Zama, North Africa, and then Scipio Africanus takes Carthage, destroys it, and all of that. Yes, but this view of the events doesn't focus on the fact that Hannibal was in Italy for 14 years. 14 years. Could you imagine that? Like, this is how long it took, and the Romans couldn't kick him out. They tried, but he kept roaming around. So that also kind of gives us this idea. Imagine if you live and you know that in your country for 14 years there is a crazy army of the enemy that they could murder you, they could attack you, they could destroy something, they might even win. So it must have been very traumatic for the people, just the regular people, not even just the military, but the regular people just living in Italy during this invasion, if you will, and very long war. Then they have a bunch of battles. That's lovely. 31. Oh yeah, concrete. That's a nice topic. Much of Romans' architectural mastery is due to their use of concrete. Mixing a dry aggregate with a mortar that would take up water and then harden gave the Romans a range of building materials of great flexibility and strength. Roman concrete is very similar to modern Portland cement. Yeah, it's still different to modern cement, but still, yes. Roman concrete is fascinating, as is their intentional selection of stone, depending not only on local availability, but sometimes through transportation, even what they believed would have been the best stone, for instance, to counter certain weather conditions and local climate. So like the Romans do tell us, this type of marble or this type of limestone is preferable in an area that has heavy rains, for instance, because it actually supports it well, sustains the elements well. It's fascinating how methodical the Romans were, and also their choice of settlement, and even specifically of conquest of certain pre-existing settlements, for instance, Parisi, which would be ancient Paris, which the Romans renamed into Lutetia. That was also chosen because right underneath there were lime mines, and they did that. There were stone mines underneath the city, and so they built it. They conquered it and then expanded it and then built on top of it and used the stones underneath to build the new structures in the city and expand it in the settlement and then expand it. So all of that was very intentional. And some of those Roman mines are still in there, of course, in Paris, and they are now incorporated in what is called the Labyrinth of Paris, which is this monumental underground labyrinth, in fact, and I have a dedicated video link in the description. The Colosseum was Rome's greatest games arena, correct? Starting at around 70 AD, the Amphitheatrum Fabium is the original name. It took around 10 years to build over the demolished palaces of Nero and could hold out anything up to 80,000 spectators, yes. Aqueducts carried water, allowing large cities to grow. Yeah. Rome itself, yes, exactly 11 aqueducts by the end of the 3rd century with nearly 800 kilometers of artificial water courses in total. Yeah, it's a shame that some of those used lead. Not all of them did, but some did. Cities freed people from subsistence agriculture, allowing them to indulge in art, politics, engineering, and specialized crafts and industries. Constructing these systems that used gravity to move water over long distances down tiny inclines was an astounding feat. It absolutely was. Roman aqueducts are absolutely fascinating. In fact, let's check them out. Look at this. Look at this. Absolutely fascinating stuff. Even an inspection. Oh my gosh. Yeah, look, they even have inspection shafts. This is the intake, the water source, setting tank, covered. It's not just the idea of, oh yeah, just put it in inclined, and so, we just use gravity and that's it. No, there is a lot that goes into it. Look, distribution tank, covered channel, setting tank, the inside of the mountain. It's complex. I might make a dedicated video. I hate that they say BCE CE again, but then again, yeah, I might make a dedicated video to how they actually worked, because it's a lot more complex than you would think. Roman sewers are less celebrated, but just as vital to urban life. Yeah, let's celebrate the sewers. The Cloaca Maxima was built from earlier open drains and canals, surviving through the entire Republican Empire. Parts of it are still used as a drain today. Correct. Yeah, in Rome. The cleaner, healthier life of Roman cities was an attraction to people in the empire to buy into the lifestyle of their conquerors. Yeah. Great structures were an important means of stating power, Roman power. Well, yeah, but I mean, this could be repurposed on anything. Even medieval period, ancient China, Japan, everywhere. This is Africa. This is like a thing. You've got money, you want to show off your wealth, you build incredible structures or statues or temples, and boom, absolutely. Emperors cemented their reputations with grand public works. The largest surviving triumphal arch is the Arch of Constantine, completed in 315 AD to celebrate the Battle of Milvian Bridge. It is 21 meters high. Marble arch in London was based on it. But yeah, it's not just the Roman emperors, however. Even like Crassus, for instance, he has built some, it basically was like the ancient Roman version of Elon Musk, and he did build stuff like that as well. So wealthy people do that. 40 Roman bridges still stand and are in use today. Yep, the Alcantara Bridge over the Tagus River in Spain is one of the most beautiful. It was completed in 106 AD under Emperor Trajan. 10 points again. I have built a bridge which will last forever, reads an original inscription on the bridge. And he was absolutely right. Let's have a look at it. Wow, look at that. Yeah, I think I built something similar in Conan Exiles once. That is gorgeous indeed. Man, the fact that even this part remained. You would think this would collapse, but no. The Romans knew what they were doing. Man, I can already imagine like Roman legionaries crossing this. Beautiful. Do people walk over it, or do people drive through it? That would be something interesting to see, because sometimes when they make these, like, and again, I'm a huge supporter and fan of ancient Rome, of course, and Romans, and always speak highly of the stuff that they achieved and the ancients, but sometimes you see these like, oh, this is a modern road and it's already all broken, and this is an ancient Roman road and it's still in perfect conditions. Modern engineers don't know what they're doing. I don't think that's right. I mean, yeah, Roman stuff was built to last, and the way they were building it was impressive, but let's also remember the Roman roads and bridges were not built to sustain trucks and lorries and constant cars and big, very heavy vehicles. So that also needs to be taken into consideration to be more fair. But still, glory to Rome. Julius Caesar was born in 100 BC and named Gaius Julius Caesar. His name may have come from an ancestor being born by Caesarean section. Yeah, it's extremely speculative. I mean, some people even say maybe it's from a word that means elephant. We don't know. That's the reality. We haven't got a clue where Caesar comes from. But it is a really cool name. Caesar or Caesar never married Cleopatra. That's correct. She wasn't a citizen. Crassus, there you go, was legendarily wealthy. He acquired at least some of his wealth by buying burning buildings and knocked down prices. Once bought, he would employ the 500 slaves he had bought, goodness gracious, especially for their architectural skills to save the buildings. Yeah, basically a realtor, working in real estate as well. Pompey, glory to Pompey, is back. Pompey. Pompey. And then he was murdered. What a shame. Ooh, number 82 is nice. The Romans probably took gladiatorial games from the Etruscans or Campanians. This is absolutely correct. Like the two rival Italian powers, the Roman first used these combats as private funeral celebration. This is absolutely correct. And the reason why I'm so excited is because I've been making a video about this, the true origins of the gladiators and gladiatorial games, which of course will cap at 15,000 views because YouTube hates me when I make those origins of. In fact, I made a playlist if you want to support that against YouTube nonsense. I will leave a link to the playlist below, and I would really appreciate if you could go there, maybe leave me a little comment. I'll look for those comments and I will reply. YouTube hates me when I make these, but here we are, and this is absolutely correct. But I'm gonna go like, this is of course a very little paragraph, a sentence in fact, but I'm making a fully dedicated video with all the evidence, with all the passages, with all the images and iconography, but they're absolutely correct. Chariot racing, yeah, maybe they talk about the teams. There were 4 factions racing, each in their own color. Yeah, I love that. The red, white, greens, and blue teams inspired great loyalty, building clubhouses for their fans. In fact, I would have been a blue team guy because I love blue. Blue is my favorite color. In 532 AD, in Constantinople, rioting that destroyed half the city was sparked by chariots fans' disputes. Basically, we found the ancestors to the hooligans. How about that? Okay, well, I think we reviewed quite a lot of these. I really enjoyed this. Majority were good. I mean, very, very basic, as I was saying, with a couple of things that I was disagreeing a little bit. Non-sponsored. But it's good. It's good. It's well written, very superficial, but then again, 100 facts. What can you do? But thank you very much for watching, noble ones. I will see you tomorrow for my next daily upload. And remember, the Metatron has spread his wings. Goodbye.